Hi everybody, this is Jpar,
This is Myles.
And it's Da Boo, guys.
and this is the new review. We're gonna be reviewing Batman versus Superman, so we decided we're gonna start reviewing some more newer movies. It's not gonna be a part of the regular We Promise Nothing show, as that's the flagship show, and we're gonna keep that format kind of the same. But maybe if you like listening to this, you'll want to listen to our regular show as well. We're going to give a non-spoiler version, which should be a shorter version, and then a little bit longer of, with spoilers, and we'll say exactly why we reviewed it the way we did. So this is Batman versus Superman. I almost wanted to say Batman versus Robin. I almost felt like I watched Batman versus Batman and Robin, not quite. But you know what, Miles? Why don't you take us away on your general impressions, your first impressions of Batman versus Superman?
I liked it.
What? What?
I thought he did a good tribute to several different comics. There was so many scenes where it was literally like it was taken right off the page. I like that. So he fed to my interests.
Okay.
It had really good action. The starting was solid. And,
That's debatable, but go on.
okay, yeah, that's what we're here for. Overall impression, I liked it. I would say go see it if you haven't already. You won't be disappointed unless you're Jpar.
And many other people
Yeah.
as well that I've read on the internet who also were disappointed. Boo, your first general impressions of Batman versus Superman.
To be completely honest, I have to agree with Miles. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to be honest, I can pick at some things like any other, but I just feel that to its core, from the intro, including... You really didn't like the intro?
I didn't say I didn't like the
All right,
intro.
well, anyhow, for me, it was just overall, I felt satisfied. It was... Again, it was bringing in characters that we had seen from different universes. One obviously been over-visited, if you ask me. Batman's seen so many different iterations of him that I kind of get lost after a while. So, obviously, we pick our favorites. Having said that, I kind of had to accept this movie as like a new version of our favorite,
Well, it is. It's
winged
pretty
guy.
much a reboot of it's a reboot of Batman.
Yeah, so with that said, I had to accept that, and like anything else, I accepted, a new version of a Bruce altogether, It was an older take on him, I think, is what I'll say.
He's older. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is more like
A much more mature version.
the
but
Dark Knight. And I'm talking about the comic series, The Dark Knight, not the movie.
Yeah, someone who's grown in that kind of world as a human, let's say. Obviously, it does not live a posh life. He just had the luxuries of his money more than anything. Having said that, anyway, Batman put aside, I think overall, it was a nice little intro to a new universe that I'm looking forward to, which is the Justice League. And I'll leave that alone.
All right. You're going to hear me complain about this movie a lot. So I'm going to try to be a bit optimistic as well. It's not a terrible movie, but it's not as good as it should be. It's very mediocre for something that includes Batman and Superman. Not that Superman had made great movies to begin with, but I felt like they could have done more with this. I felt a little bit flat. It's not, like I said, it's not a terrible movie, but I definitely have a lot of gripes in it and a lot of reasons why I think it could have been better. And I don't know, I was kind of, even though I wasn't expecting much, I was still leaving disappointed.
I'll give you this. The Superman part of the movie fell flat for me just because it seemed like the dark, brooding tone of everything that was Batman kind of went into the whole Superman universe too. So that to me changed the Superman part of the whole movie. So this wasn't really a Superman sequel as it was introducing Batman and his world and the dark perspective of, you're a hero for so long until you live long enough to become the evil guy. That seemed to be the tone that kept on ringing throughout the whole movie, so I'll give you that. Batman and a Superman movie, no, it was more Batman and then how Superman fit in his world. That's how I got it anyways.
It's kind of interesting, too, that they decided to, let's face it, when you put two things that are on comics in their own world, if they decide to merge them, that's up to the artists and whatnot. But in film sense, you have to accept the fact that both characters are sharing their universes. You can't just accept Gotham to be the same universe that, suddenly Bruce hops into Metropolis and suddenly it's all peachy because it's all sunshine and rainbows and, unicorns. Point of the matter is that it's just not one of those things where you can accept it just as is. You had to see it for what it was, and I think this film did an interesting justice of it. No pun intended. Although it could have been.
So, what's your rating? And just briefly tell me why you give it this rating, but not getting into any spoilers of the movie.
I would give it a 3.5.
Okay.
Why? It was a pretty good movie in my opinion. It did have some polishing that it could have used, and maybe some editing, moved around some scenes, and the pacing was a little odd. But overall, I enjoyed myself. I liked it. It was a good comic book tribute, so I give it a 3.5.
And Boo.
Honestly, I was leaning more towards a 4. I don't know. I think for me it was because of... I don't know if it's just me fighting against you two, thinking like...
I just grimace, that's why.
Alright, but I'll be quite honest, I'm being generous only due to the fact that I don't know, I'm not as much of a comic follower, which I feel like I should be, but given that said, I feel like I'm not seeing these characters from another point of view. And I feel like you two kind of have that different perspective.
Yeah, and I find that's a big problem with...
Well, I can see why you guys would be so critical. And no offense, but I just feel like it was one of those things where I love
no
the
offense
characters.
taken.
I love the fact that the characters get us so passionate to the point where we argue about it, and I think that's the whole point of this, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I get passionate about it because like you said...
No, you don't, really?
Because I know of that better version of... Like, I've seen Batman the animated series, and I've seen the Superman animated series, and to me, like, those are the ones I really... like kind of grasped onto. Like those are the stories that I kind of know these characters and I've seen like it's done right. You know what I mean? So I wanted the Lex Luthor of that animated series to be in this movie. I wanted him to be a bigger guy. I wanted him to be smart, cold, calculating, had a contingency plan, not some loopy dork Jesse Eisenberg. Like it was just really weird. It was a wacky performance. And so for that, are you done giving the reasons why you gave it a 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I kind of took over.
Yeah, you took over. Completely.
Honestly, no, I that's the whole point I'm making. I ended with that just because of that, because I feel like you wanted to say a whole lot more. I get that.
Well, I'm giving it a 3. Like, I am complaining about it a lot, but I had to think about it. Because, like I said, it's not a terrible movie, but there's just a lot of bad notes that they hit that they could have done so much better, and I expect them to do a lot better, because if they're going to play catch up with Marvel, they got to make these movies stick. They can't just throw a bunch of scenes together and hope it's all going to make sense, because I feel like there was a lot of plot holes and things that didn't make sense here. And the whole the intro, there was a lot. I'll say another good thing about it. It was very cinematic and beautiful to look at. There was a lot of great cinematography and a lot of iconic looking scenes that were really cool. That I will give it credit for. Also, I had no problems with Ben Affleck as Batman. In fact, he was the better part of the movie. All the scenes with him and him as Batman are the better parts of the movie.
He stole the movie. Anytime there was Batman on screen, or Bruce Wayne for that matter, and that's what I missed. I found that all the Bruce Waynes up until now were just kind of the same guy, but when he was... I don't know, he played a really good playboy. Maybe he just played himself. I don't know, but he was a really good Bruce Wayne in this.
It's funny how everyone's point of view of a playboy is different too. I mean, when they play the character anyway, it's not the same per se from each actor's point of view. I kind of feel like each and every one of them had... Even Michael Keaton had his own way of being a... It wasn't so much a playboy, it was almost like a kid with all this money that he didn't know what to do with, so he was giving grants away, from what I recall in the movie. For me though, Batman, like you said, Ben Affleck's point of view, I think he had actually hit it dead on. And especially because it was a mature version of the Bat. It had nothing to do with even his origin story. If I might say, my favorite part of it was the intro. Due to one fact, it had more to do with...
Are we going into Spoilerville?
Not yet. As soon as he wraps up this paragraph.
Okay. I kind of feel like at some point when we reintroduce different perspectives on a person.
Okay, but you're kind of hitting spoilers here, Boo.
Well, I'm not trying to say...
You're teetering on Spoilerville.
All right.
So leave your thought right there. So right now, so that's it right now. You got our reviews. You got 3.5 from Myles. You got a solid 4 from Boo, and you got 3 from me. So really not really bad reviews. It's just... it's like you guys have your opinion. It's not really bad reviews, like when you think about it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's the non-spoiler version of this podcast. All right, so now we're getting into the spoiler part of the review for Batman versus Superman. And Boo, you had a thought about the intro. You're saying that you liked the intro and explain why. Now you can start saying spoilers.
Okay, let's talk about what we like, and then we'll sort of dive into the...
All right, I'll let you go first.
No, you go first. You got a
Well,
thought
okay,
there.
Well-
you said that for me, I said I liked the cinematics of this movie.
Okay.
There's a lot of iconic scenes, and with that intro, you got a very iconic look, like cinematic scenes of Bruce growing up and what happened to him. Yes, we're revisiting the Batman origin again, but it's during the credits, so it's okay. They're kind of like, we're catching up here. So
Right. Okay. Well, putting aside that, yeah, we see another version of the origin. I just want to admit that from an artistic standpoint, this is completely up to the writer as well as the director to look the other way when they do this. But something as simple as having the pearl necklace wrapped around the gunner's hand when he's about to pull the trigger, right, the last killing blow. That it could have been so much simpler, but they decided to go that extra step because for me, I always couldn't figure out why the pearls would always fall. It was always happened to be that he would grab the woman some violent fashion and all of a sudden the pearls would break and then they'd fall. No, in this case it happened to me that in frantic jousts or whatever she actually got caught up with the gun and then pointed to her, but the pearls were I say let go in of a different fashion. It was just completely artistic, right?
no, I get it, and that's what I was saying. It was a very cinematic intro to Bruce's life and his origin.
And you can't appreciate something like that because
I
for me
just said I liked the intro and the cinematics.
No, okay, but from earlier you were saying you didn't. You actually
No, I didn't like that they spent so much time at the beginning in dreams and flashbacks. It's like, okay,
That was
get
beyond that.
to
Yeah,
the
that-
story now.
You're talking beyond the intro. I'm talking about the simple fashion that they had to, literally re-explain Bruce Wayne up to Batman like that. It was a matter of, okay, how quickly can we do this?
Okay, but
before
that's fine.
Yeah, but the point of the
I'm
matter
totally
is
fine
that
with
you
that.
get, yeah, okay, that you get.
But we
then
get
you're
like
talking about
3 or 4
dream
more
sequences.
other dream sequences.
That's
it's like,
following.
what is happening? Like, even Superman's having dream sequences. Like, Kevin Costner's just there. It's like, hey, remember me, son? I'm that guy that got swept away by the tornado last time, remember?
I don't think that was a dream sequence as much as it was like
I know,
he was
but it's
looking
like-
for answers, and his dad would be the one to provide him with
Yeah.
those answers. So he was thinking, what would my dad do?
Mm.
What would my dad say? At this
Clearly,
point?
his father was not
That
there.
wasn't like
Yeah.
the worst scene, and I know he wasn't there, but it's just because I already watched so many Batman dream sequences. I started thinking, like, okay, is there going to be anything that ever actually happens in this movie? Is everything going to be in dreams?
Okay, so we're gonna talk about the bad stuff then.
Okay, yeah, that's
Well,
a good
I'm not
point.
trying to get into the bad stuff. I'm just trying to get into...
Let's talk about the good stuff.
There's still a lot of other good, like...
Okay, well, the other good is Batman's fight scene and the Batmobile chase.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good.
That's another part. I can't say anything good without saying something bad in kind of a way, because the reason why I think this is good is because I think they should have been more of this. Why wasn't there more of a build up to this Batman character? Like, I would have liked to see Ben Affleck's Batman in a movie before we got to this point.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting point of view, but sorry, I'll let you go first, Myles.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's unfortunate that DC is playing catch up with Marvel, and that's the problem right now. They wanna go full steam ahead, skip Marvel's approach where you have 3 Iron Mans, 3 Thors, 3 whatever, you know what I
Yeah,
mean, and
they've
then
had time.
Avengers.
Yeah.
This one, it's just they're skipping a beat. They're skipping a Batman movie. They're skipping a Superman movie. They're just going straight for Justice League. That's the problem.
Let's
That
face
is the
it,
problem.
I did say earlier that we've already seen different iterations of Batman already. I kind of feel like DC was doing it for so long already that when Marvel decided to get their feet wet into the movie business, so to speak, they had a little bit of catching up to do too. But then they threw everything at us, and that's what's built up to the Avengers and so on and so forth.
But it was a slow build. They didn't just like,
Oh, they
here's
had to.
Iron Man, and then like, here's Avengers, and now you got to learn who Thor and Captain America are and all these characters. Like, no, it was a gradual process.
Yeah, and we can appreciate that, but that's a review for another time. Let's appreciate the fact that BVS, or as I was calling it BVP earlier. Sorry, guys.
It's
I
a
think
little
I was
bit better
thinking-
if it was BVP.
I was thinking AVP earlier.
Batman versus
but-
Predator would be
yeah,
awesome.
but BVS, I kind of hate calling it that. Batman versus
Well,
Superman.
don't! Just call it Batman versus Superman, you weirdo.
just so happens to be one of those points where they had to rush, and I feel like I want to appreciate that because I don't want to sit through another Batman movie Oh, and then,
I
by the
do.
way, another Batman movie that creates another sequel, which they can keep milking as much as they want. But
Yeah, there's so many
I am
great-
sick of Batman movies. I'm just
not.
going to leave it alone. That's their opinion. I've seen enough variations of Batman that I like to move on, and I don't know why anyone want to linger on the same character for so long.
Because
then you end up with
Batman
moments
sells.
like Ben Affleck suddenly feeling like now he's got to fill in the shoes that so many other people before him had tried to. You got to appreciate that in itself, right? I kind of
I
felt
have
like,
no problem with Ben Affleck as
Right.
Batman, as I said
and we
before.
appreciated that, right? I just don't want to start it becoming franchises of another nature. We already seen another Batman, trio recently.
I
You know,
do
just
want to
don't-
see more Batman movies. I'd rather
Okay.
see if Batman. Okay, listen. If Batman and Superman are going to be the two of the main characters in this story arc of Justice League movies, I would like to get to know the character. Like, if he's going to be your main guy, he's like, okay, but if you're going to say, well, fuck, I don't want to see a Batman movie, then why even have him there? Why don't we just make it Superman versus Wonder Woman then?
I'm pretty sure they established what Batman they want, though. Like, we know what Batman
No,
is gonna
I
be
know.
in
Like,
Justice League.
it's true. We are familiar with Batman already, but this is a new Batman. I feel like we should get to know this Batman before we jump into a...
I know I can appreciate what you're saying too. This very version of him, I can feel like we could visit again, but I feel that we're going to see the development of this character anyway throughout the process
we are.
of creating the Justice League is what we're getting to, right? Hence, I don't think this Batman I'm going to tie in with the previous Batmans and so on and so forth. If we get more of it,
It's
I feel
not.
like,
It's a
No,
reboot.
no, this is
I
completely
think
different.
this is why I want to see more Justice League. I don't know if I agree with you trying to get more Batman out of it. That's my opinion. I'm
There
sorry.
will be more Batman.
There has
There
to be
will.
more Batman.
There will.
He's the Iron
But-
Man of this franchise.
Yeah, he's
we're gonna
really
start.
good.
We're gonna start seeing him getting darker. Is what I
Like,
hope
if
I
they...
can honestly
Here's the
say,
thing.
though.
Here's what's going to happen with these movies. It's going to be... Some of these are going to miss, and some of these are going to be a hit. Like, we're going to attach on to certain ones, like maybe Suicide Squad, or Wonder Woman, or,
It is tied into Suicide Squad.
Well, they're all tied in. I know that, but I'm saying we're gonna attach ourselves to certain ones, and then other ones we're not gonna give a shit about. Like we might not care about Aquaman or
Right.
a different Flash, even. Like they're taking a big risk by giving us a different Flash.
All the more reason why I wouldn't mind appreciating like a merge of movies together. Bring Flash and Cyborg and suddenly into the mix of it. I don't want to start seeing individual movies, where we're going to start to see such a slow. I guess for me, I'm just not looking forward to another decade of movies where I feel like I got to catch up on that. But it is something to look forward
That's
to.
how I feel,
I know,
and
I
that's
wanna
why
look
I'm
forward to it.
disappointed with this movie. Because they gotta make this one dynamite if they want us to get on board with them. And it didn't hit some of the notes that I thought it should have.
I thought it did. I thought the beginning sequence with Ben Affleck going to... Was it Metropolis or Gotham at the beginning?
Yeah, it was Metropolis. He's watching Zod
Okay, yeah.
and Superman fight.
That, for me, set the complete tone for the movie right there. It showed this guy, this iconic figure that's had no problems with dealing with people before, realize he's an ant underneath a boot. And it set such a great tone
You
for the
just
movie.
quoted Loki.
Well, there's no other way. There you go, Loki, a god,
God and ant.
and looking
Yeah.
everybody else
Yeah.
is everything else.
That's
So
the whole point. Yeah.
yeah, that to me, to see that perspective was such a eye opener, and it was so awe inspiring. It's like watching these two out of control gods beat the crap out of each other, and all you can do is hold on. So for me, right there, I was invested. I was ready to see what this movie was ready to give me.
It certainly answered the question of what would happen in that fight. It was a slow build up to the fight, but when it did, it kind of made sense. For me, it was... I don't know if we want to start getting into what we hate about the movie now, but it was the build up to the end that kind of got me a little bit disappointed. Not enough to say that I hated it, but I had to appreciate, once again, their variation of this. But if I want to jump to it, honestly, it's Doomsday. Doomsday was one of those things where, for me... If I want to appreciate the artistic talent of the original writers and illustrators, had to do with that bony structure that he had, grotesque effect. Even his goatee, for crying out loud, was bones.
Yeah.
I just love the fact that right down to each edge of him was sharp, was deadly to Superman. And every time you went near him, you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be his death in the end. As we all know in the comics. I don't even have to know them.
I wasn't too crazy about Zombie Zod. As
Zombie
Doomsday,
Zod,
but,
as we call him, is, I think I had to accept the fact that it was like a different iteration of Doomsday, and I don't know why I have to go as far to accept it. I don't know if I can, but I have to. That's part of the reason why, for me, it wasn't as great as it could have been, Because the fight against Doomsday, that was the rushed part for me.
It was very rushed.
Superman suddenly realizes, oh, I only got one maneuver to do this, and I'm going to carry the fucking thing that weakens me in the first place to attack the thing that's about to considerably kill me.
At least it made more sense.
Get the last dying blow, and then get killed with the last bony thrust in his chest. No surprise, Superman's dead. Oh, I wonder what we're going to get in the next movie, guys. So Superman's coming back. The point of the matter is that I wasn't surprised on that, but they rushed that part. Mm-hmm. And I kind of felt like
Doomsday should have been his own movie. It shouldn't have been in this movie. There should have been Batman versus Superman, and then maybe them banding together to stop Lex at the end. And then when you bring out Man of Steel 2, that's when you bring in Doomsday. I don't know. I feel like they could have built this up better.
You're right. Doomsday would have been more of a Man of Steel movie than it would have been other than the fact that it makes sense to me, the Justice League concept. What better reason to band together a bunch of superheroes in the DC universe that haven't done it yet, supposedly on film. The excuse was, oh, we lost our Superman. Meaning the only alien that could technically go up against anything that could have been barely, comparably indestructible is suddenly lost. Now we got a lot more responsibility on our shoulders if we want to continue this, obviously.
Okay.
That was the excuse to that. I accepted that right away, and I think that's why.
That was one of the better parts of the movie. I did like that they did do, and this isn't the spoilers, he dies at the end, but it's not a big deal, because if you know anything about Superman, he comes back to life after Doomsday kills him.
Well, they kind of show the rocks coming off the coffin.
Yeah,
like he hit it or something. Or maybe his first heartbeat was really strong. Who knows what the hell it is. I don't know.
I almost wanted to see, Super Shredder. Hand come out. That would have been awesome. Okay, so we just got a little bit more time left. So we're going to go around the table. We're going to say your favorite part and your least favorite part of the movie.
My favorite part would have to be the starting scene, for sure. That was the best part for me, just to see how small Batman was compared to these giants in the sky. My least favorite part would have to be, would be the dream sequences.
Yeah.
I don't understand how Batman alone was getting premonitions of a future that was accurate, very accurate, of characters he hasn't even met yet. And I feel like they'll explain that in future movies, but as a first
Flash
movie,
probably has something to do with it.
I think we tend to assume that now.
As a first movie, though, that shouldn't have been in there. Maybe the Flash...
The Flash movie should have been in the Flash movie.
The Flash dream sequence, to me, that should have been the ending scene credits.
Yeah, there you go. That would have worked.
He's in his cave and he's doing
that
something.
That would have been cool.
And then he's, oh shit, the Flash.
There you go.
And then they end it. It's like, okay, something.
I might have gave it a 0.5 if that would have happened.
If they would have changed, that's what I mean, the editing. If they would have just taken that
you're
one
right,
scene
though.
out that
there was a lot of editing problems.
Yeah, the pacing. Anyways,
Anyways. Boo, favorite part. It doesn't have to be a favorite scene, but just your favorite part of the movie and your least favorite part of the movie.
All right. Honestly, I'm gonna pick one that I felt refreshing in that it was a new character altogether. I think when Wonder Woman came on the scene, we already knew who she was. I didn't have to. I can admit to that right away. The actress, let's face it. But when she came on screen, I was kind of surveying, I think, the character that much closely. And I'm again coming from a person that doesn't read comic books. I had to appreciate the fact that, artistically, again, it was almost like the wardrobe was purposefully done. If you look at certain little articles across her, she's got these gold bands going across every now and then.
So that's your favorite part of the movie?
No, just a detail. Let's call it that.
So detail is your favorite part of the movie?
Yeah, again, I can pick at the bigger things and pick the bigger scenes, but I want to pick one that I think was, for me, the most refreshing. And again, it was a new character, right?
Okay, so the detail.
So seeing her on screen was kind of nice.
Okay, and your least favorite part of the movie?
That's kind of hard, actually, but... Honestly, I think I have to go back to Doomsday. It was just I was really hoping for that grotesque creature that if they're going to shove Doomsday on screen for me, I wanted to see what I remember seeing, briefly and quite vividly, in the comics. He's a very iconic character. All I felt like I was seeing in this case was a little bit of him, but put onto a Lord of the Rings ogre. It made no sense.
He did look like... I thought the same thing. I almost made a joke because I was making... I'm sorry, I apologize. I was making some bad jokes during the movie.
Movie etiquette right there.
Yeah, I know, you're right. I shouldn't have done that. But I almost want to say, I remember that guy from The Hobbit. He totally looked like a goblin or an orc. Is that it? That was your... Okay.
That's the one I have to pick at the most.
Sorry, the movie was getting a bit tedious for me, and it was kind of making me groan, and I thought everyone was on the same page as me, but apparently I wasn't, so that was my bad. So my favorite part of the movie, as I said, was actually Ben Affleck as Batman. His fight scene, that one fight scene where he just goes and he just cleans house while saving Martha Kent was just fucking that's the Batman I want to see. And that's when I was like looking at that scene, I'm like, damn, I almost thought this was a Batman solo movie instead of Batman versus Superman, because that scene and the Batmobile scene were fucking wicked. And then my least favorite part is Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. God almighty, he's awful. He's so weird and creepy and nothing makes sense. Like, he says a sentence, you're not sure if he's done, you're like, what? What was that? It's like, it's not the Lex Luthor I would have wanted in this movie. I would have wanted a more serious...
Certainly not the genius we all remember, I think. He's very eccentric, but not the genius we remember.
They changed it from businessman Lex Luthor to mad scientist Lex Luthor.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
a
I
good point.
think it kind of fit for me because it all ended up being a science experiment at the end. It's like, how am I going to kill Superman? And how am I going to make this huge crazy monster to... The only thing... Okay, Jesse Eisenberg, the one scene at the top of the helipad, and he's throwing pictures of Clark Kent's mom at him, I was sold. Like,
that was creepy.
It was super creepy. I'm like, holy crap, I want to see that Lex Luthor. That was powerful. He had Superman on
I found his
knees.
plan. His plan didn't make sense, though.
His plan was
he
a
had
little rocky.
no idea where he
no
was
backup
going
plan.
with his
Yeah.
plan.
That was the arrogance, I think, of the character that I think they were
Total
trying to
arrogance,
sell on.
yeah.
The fact that Lex is very much the cocky, son of a bitch that he usually is, figures that, I'm so, above anything else, including Superman. Just right there, that one scene, he was acting as though he still had Superman since day one.
Wrapped
Wrapped around his figure. Yeah, like, it was beautifully done, and that's the part that I accepted. Jesse Eisenberg, I don't know. I just feel like I had to, again, I'm going to say it, sadly say it, I just had to accept the fact that it was a different variation of it.
All right, so that is our review. Any closing thoughts?
Go see the movie. He did a good tribute to comics. Honestly, he did a good job. That's what I think, anyways.
Yeah, it was a good, well done movie, and I mean, honestly, it would be something the whole family should enjoy. So, even then, it can get a bit rocky at certain points, but I'll admit it's a family movie.
I don't think the whole family will enjoy it. I think kids are going to be bored to tears watching this movie.
Depends on the kids.
I don't know. Honestly, you should go see it because, if you're into superhero movies, you should see where DC stands in this race against Marvel. But don't expect, anything great, or at least not from my perspective. Maybe you'll enjoy it like these guys. Hopefully you will. You won't be so cynical like me. Be your own judge. Go check it out. Batman versus Superman. This is Jpar signing out for the new review.
This is Myles leaving the building again.
Da Boo usually leaving.
Awesome. Good night, everybody.